The researchers Alan Butler and Stephen Defoe describe the money-lending aspect of the organization in these terms. The Templars were expert financiers, using trading techniques quite unknown in the Europe of their day. They had clearly learned many of these skills from Jewish sources, but would have much more freedom to extend their financial empire in a way that any Jewish financier of the period would have envied greatly. They owned hundreds of castles in Europe. Furthermore, most kings of the time were in debt to them. One source describes the material power of the Templars in the following terms. The throne of England was seriously indebted to the order. King John had emptied the coffers of the treasury between 1260 and 1266 in order to finance his military operations, and Henry III, likewise, borrowed heavily from the Knights Templar. This power made the Templars very influential in a great many areas. For instance, when Innocent II was elected Pope with their support, the first privilege he gave the Templars was the right to build and run their own churches. At the same time, this meant an architecture with which they could freely reflect their own worldview. With that in mind, they developed their own individual style of building, Gothic architecture. The Templars increasingly moved away from the religious beliefs and practices of the Church. The philosophy and way of life, which they had maintained in secret right from the outset, slowly came to light. Rumors of their deviant lifestyles spread. The perversions going on in the private castles in which the Templars shut themselves for their secret ceremonies made both the people and all the kings of Europe, especially the King of France, most uneasy. The new pope was now certain that this group, over which he was unable to establish any authority, lived an irreligious life and needed to be eliminated. In October 1307, King Philip of France and Pope Clement V decided to arrest the Knights Templar. Some members of the order were thrown into prison. Others were executed. One of those executed was Grand Master Jacques de Molay. Under a decree by Pope Clement V and the King of France, published on March 22, 1312, the Templars were declared to be dissolved, and the order was erased from the official records. Those members of the order who were caught made frightening confessions during 5 years of interrogations. It emerged from these confessions that the Templars entirely rejected God and the theistic religions, and that they were devoted to the perversion of devil worship, these days known as Satanism. They worshipped a goat-headed figure by the name of Baphomet, regarded as the source of evil and black magic. The order had continued its devil-worshipping ceremonies in the greatest secrecy for hundreds of years. Furthermore, disrespect for religious symbols regarded as sacred by all Christians had become a ritual element of those ceremonies. The last person to preside over these ceremonies was Grand Master Jacques de Molay. The churches constructed by the Templars were evidence of the pagan relief they had adopted. This is Roslin Chapel near Edinburgh, one of the Templar churches. Pagan motifs reflecting pagan beliefs are carved all over it. The Templar seal in one corner of the chapel, the same figure of two knights on one horse. A representation of the devilish figure Baphomet and other mystical symbols denoting pagan beliefs. These symbols would later appear in Masonic lodges. The following words about Roslin Chapel appeared in Mimar Sinan, the magazine for members of Turkish Masonic lodges. There are so many pagan decorative elements inside the chapel that in his memoirs about the baptism he performed of the Baron of Roslin in 1589, a priest complained, "Because the chapel is filled with pagan idols, there is no place appropriate to administer the sacrament." In August 31, 1592, as a result of pressure exerted on Baron Oliver St. Clair of Roslin, the chapel's pagan-style altar was destroyed. The Templars officially disappeared, although they actually survived in secret. A number of knights who had evaded capture fled to the only European kingdom in 14th century Europe which did not recognize the Catholic Church, Scotland. At that time, the Scots were at war with the English. The Templars acquired considerable freedom by siding with the Scots during that conflict. They infiltrated the stonemason guilds, one of the most influential civil society organizations of the time. Later on, these guilds acquired a political and philosophical identity and turned into secret Masonic lodges. That is how the transition from the operative masonry to speculative masonry took place, according to Masonic sources. It is for these reasons that the Scottish Rite, the first Masonic lodge established by the Templars in Scotland, is the oldest known branch of Freemasonry. There is a striking similarity between the two organizations. When we compare Masonic ritual and symbolism with those of the Templars, a number of common features are readily apparent. The use of the Temple of Solomon, regarded as the fundamental symbol in Freemasonry, Master Hiram, the chief builder of the temple according to the Old Testament, the profession of stonemasonry, and similar symbols based on the Old Testament, and Kabbalistic teachings, ceremonies, vows, and a great many other practices all go back to the Templar tradition. These are some of the principal symbols of Freemasonry. The set square and compasses were used by master stonemasons. For that reason, they bear a special significance for both Masons and Knights Templars, with their common history. One can also find such similarities in their organizational structures. The names given to the highest-ranking figures in the Scottish Rite in Freemasonry are such titles as Knight of the Temple, Protector of the Temple, and Knight of Vengeance, given to members of the Templar Order centuries ago. When the Templars turned into Freemasonry, they once again possessed a powerful organization. At the same time, they began to spread rapidly throughout Europe with the perfect camouflage this gave them. As well as Freemasonry, the Templars also established the Rose-Croix organization. The main focus of this organization was alchemy and magic. In one source, the relationship between the Rose-Croix and the Templars is set out as follows. The Rosy Cross derived from the Red Cross of the Templars. Mirabeau, who as a Freemason and an Illuminatus was in a position to discover many facts about the secret societies of Germany during his stay in the country, definitely asserts that the Rose-Croix Masons of the 17th century were only the ancient order of the Templars secretly perpetuated. One of the most famous members of the Rose-Croix was the English statesman and thinker Sir Francis Bacon, who was also a Grand Master of the English Templars. Bacon set out the state structure of which the Templars dreamed in his book, The New Atlantis. The main aim of their work was to rule the world by using the mystical powers in Templar teaching. Another organization set up by the Templars in addition to the Rose-Croix was the secret Illuminati Society. The leader of the organization was a fanatical atheist, Adam Weishaupt. All these organizations, run behind the scenes by the Templars, had a common objective: to destroy religious beliefs and to impose on the world the atheist and materialist worldview of the Templars' anti-religious philosophy. To that end, the first great socialist movement was prepared and put into action. That was the French Revolution. Count Cagliostro, who played a behind-the-scenes role in the revolution, was a Mason. Cagliostro's aim was the one-by-one elimination of all the existing monarchies in Europe by spreading revolutionary ideas and inciting revolt. Given the role of agent by the Lodge, Cagliostro confessed all when he was caught. In his confession, he stated that the Masons planned to spread the revolution to all of Europe, and that their objective was to complete the half-finished work of the Templars and to destroy the Church and all religious beliefs.